G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Australian Property Investment Podcast. If you have been hearing me for some time, I always talk about building a 1% property portfolio. So in today's terms, that means getting past 6 investment properties. I have a number of clients that get there. I think on our watch, we probably sit well above the average. And then from time to time, I'll get an email that hits my inbox that says, hey, I've done that. I want to share my story. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Thomas, welcome on, mate. How you going?
Yeah, really good, really good.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty awesome to share my story. I'm happy to tell as many people as possible. It is possible to build a property portfolio. It doesn't matter how much income you're on, or it's about the mindset that will really take you to the next level.
Mate, we same mindset. You're speaking my language, mate, because I truly believe that buying property is a battle within your head. The ability to do it, the ability to push through some tough times, rates. I mean, I look at your portfolio, rates increasing over that time, dealing with that many properties. You talk about 9 properties, it's 9 property managers, it's 9 tenants, it's 9 properties that have, like we said, upkeep and maintenance issues as well, dealing with accountants, tax depreciation. But these, as I've been advocate for, pressure is a privilege. And if you want to get to the top 1% in any industry, there's going to be challenges that come along the journey. So, man, I'm very curious to find out what you've encountered, how you've endured it. It's a team sport, yourself and Belle, your wife, investing together. I think that's probably a massive part of the journey, which is getting alignment as a couple. So why don't we start there and go, how do you get on the same financial page to go, we're sitting on, at this stage today, $2.2 million worth of debt. How do you guys sleep at night?
Well, basically so the mistakes I made in the start of my portfolio was when we started, we were on a very low income. Like I was making 60 grand a year as a chef.
Yep.
And we were buying properties that were negatively cash flowed. And it was really hard for us to hold them. And it was quite stressful as well. And we got to the point where we just realized that it wasn't for us in this situation we were in. It wasn't quite right. So we started looking at different avenues. I started looking at following buyers agents like Nathan Birch and seeing what they're saying about how to invest in property. And basically the 3 fundamentals that I look out for in buying property is buy property that is getting a cash on cash return. You want to get your money back as soon as possible. You want to get cash flow. So you want a high cash flowing property, because that is going to take the absolute stress out of your property portfolio journey. Like honestly, if I had to go to work to maintain my property portfolio, for me, that feels like a very stressful thing to do. Like I don't want to have to work to grow my property portfolio. I want my property portfolio to provide me with a lifestyle, not the other way around. So basically, the cash flow means my positive cash flow position means that if I was to go on holidays, or even if I just disappeared for 10 years, the property portfolio would still continue growing. The cash flow would support the entire thing. My property managers would deal with that whole thing. And that's what it's about, really.
Yeah, cool. To start out investing in 2020, I'm looking at your portfolio guide here, buddy. 60K combining individual incomes each, yourself and Belle. Combined income's 120. It really goes against the grain that you need a larger income to get started. And with a deposit of $45,000, for a lot of people listening, to start in 2020 with 45K deposit and the combined income 120K, the question is, how did you do it?
Yeah, so basically in 2020, or when I bought my first investment grade property is what I'm going to call it. It was in Perth. It was a 2-bedroom apartment, and it was actually only $180,000. And wow. It's true, you can't find it like investment properties for $180,000 this day in 2025, but you can still find properties that have the same fundamentals that I was buying properties with. So at the moment, I'm looking at properties that are around under $300,000. They're cash flowing positive. They've got good upside for capital growth, and I'm getting a good cash on cash return on them.
Do you say you're buying sub 300K?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at this. So you bought at 180, you're now valued that at 430.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from 2020 to now, 5 years later, it's
With-
done some decently heavy
Yeah.
lifting, buddy.
Like the properties that I'm looking for like when I'm looking for an area, and this is where all the hard work goes into finding an area which is primed for capital growth. There's like inflation is absolutely inevitable. Like inflation will affect property no matter what happens, right? But inflation isn't linear. Like our chocolate bars aren't all going up at the same time as our wages and properties. Like everything goes up whenever it goes up, but it will effectively go up with that rate of inflation. So when I'm looking for markets that haven't actually been affected by inflation in a long time. And like, if you look at markets at the moment, like Victoria, they have not been affected by inflation for a long time. The property market has just been flat for about 7-10 years. And people, when they see property markets that are flat or they've gone backwards, they get really scared. But actually, that's something that excites me. It's like, okay, this property hasn't even been affected by inflation in the last 10 years. Like, this is a really good opportunity to get some growth that's going to happen over a short period of time.
Cool. So why somewhere like Victoria compared to, say, something like Canberra or Tassie, for example, which again, very flat markets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What attracts you to somewhere like Victoria over other markets at the moment?
Well, I mean, I'm looking for, I guess, large markets that are showing the same fundamentals where there's quite a lot of opportunity. So there's like little pockets of Tassie. There's like markets within markets of Tassie that have good opportunity, but as a whole, there's not a whole lot of deals there. So if I'm doing like heavy research in Tassie and I'm only finding like a few properties, then it's going to be hard for me to like buy a lot of properties. So when I built my portfolio, the bulk of my portfolio was me buying 6 properties in Perth, and me and my wife did that over about a year to year and a half period. So we were just we have the fundamentals. We're going, okay, this market has a lot of upside for capital growth. Let's just go hard, and then we just have to check these 2 other boxes: is the property cash flowing, and are we getting our cash on cash return? And those are the 3 main things that are important. It's like what the orientation of it, where the windows is, how much windows it has, the color of the ceiling doesn't really matter if you're gonna be able to rent it out with a positive cash flow and it's showing the other 2 fundamentals.
Okay, cool. Thanks very much. To go back to your one of my questions before around yourself and Belle getting alignment on a plan.
Yeah.
How does this, because this is probably one of the bigger challenges I see, when it comes to couples that are investing, for example. How did you get that alignment and go, this is what we want to achieve together?
So it's really hard to communicate, or like you need to make sure your message, like my vision, okay, I want to create passive income so we can retire as early as possible. You need to really make sure that message is being heard. So I say it over and over again, but until it gets heard, we're not going to have the alignment. Okay. So, and that may come at a cost, like I've invested a lot of money in courses and self-development and that sort of thing.
Nice.
And then
so as an example, what are some of the courses or self-development work that you've done? Because I'm a massive advocate for it.
Yeah.
Right? You've heard in the potties, you'd know that the only way you really move the needle is when you work on yourself.
Yeah. So like for me, I'm starting a business now, and I'm in the property investment space now. But before that, I started a business. It was a sandwich shop, and I thought that was a good business because I had 10 years experience as a chef. So I started that business, and I ended up losing a lot of money. But for me, before I started that business, I did a course. It was a course run by Janine Alice. She's the founder of Boost Juice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she, so basically when I did that course, it was like a $2,000 course, and it was basically like a blueprint for starting a business. And after I did that course, I thought, okay, if I'm willing to invest this much money on a course on my self-development, why am I not willing to invest that sort of money in my marriage? Like I need to get on the same page with my wife, and my message isn't being heard. So is it a good investment to invest in my marriage? I think so, because that's 100% important to be on the same page as your wife. Okay. Yeah.
Nice one. And I guess, one of the things you mentioned to me is around an abundance mindset. Is that coming off the back of you having success in property, or is that something that you had inbuilt into you beforehand, do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, with the abundance mindset, I would just say like there's two mindsets. Like there's the scarcity mindset and the abundance mindset.
Totally.
And one is saying like there is a solution to any problem I have and I'm going to figure it out. And the other one's saying there's no way I can do this. It's impossible. So it's going to be very hard to get to the next level because like every stage of my property portfolio journey, I've had to get to the next level, and it's felt like it's impossible to get to the next level to buy the next property, but I just have to believe like that it is. And if I don't believe it is, that's the end of the game for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've had Nathan come on to a previous episode, right? And he says new levels, new devils. And I've stolen that. I tell everyone, I'm like, you get to 4 properties, it's like new levels, new devils. You get to 8, it's like new levels, new devils. Like you're signing. And you mentioned here, I mean, you bought all these in your individual name. That's crazy. The first thing people probably do as soon as they hear you bought 9 properties is how many in a self-managed super fund and how many in trusts. You haven't.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, is you would know more than me, but is trust like a thing that's happening more? It's more of a hot topic now, or has it always been there in the background? Like that, the wealth is only the wealthy people.
Those that
only
new, and then those that kind of got very mainstream. I feel in the last probably couple of years. So I'd say if I go back, and I think I might have covered this in previous episodes. If you go back probably a couple of years, granny flats or dual ox, dual income, they were the flavor probably going back maybe 3-4 years ago, right? You construct, or maybe even prior to COVID, you could do a 7%, 8% yield on a property in Blacktown in Sydney, property up in Queensland, same thing. Construction costs blowout, for example, hard to get a larger block of land in order to do a granny on those, for example. So the yields then start to drop away. So as the yields dropped away, the knock-on effect of that is then you got less borrowing capacity. Okay, how do you then break through a wall in borrowing capacity and scaling a portfolio? That's probably where trust started to emerge as a very good vehicle. Yeah. As trust got a lot more mainstream, there's lenders, you're pretty much only dealing. I'm going to go on the record, probably somewhere like maybe 8-9 banks will do trust lending, do it well. That limits your lender pool out of say 30 banks that I've got access to. And then so you moved into self-managed super funds, and that was probably the big part. It still is a big part of the landscape today. But then I feel like as of today, the next big trend that emerges is commercial. Yeah, people don't realize you probably buy a commercial asset sub 650, for example, decent yield. You take a 650 resi, you take a 650 commercial. The commercial tenant's paying all the outgoings, paying all the maintenance, for example. So side by side comparison, they're going, actually, you can get into a commercial at 80%. And so I think there's a level, to your point, is this a new trend that's emerged? I think there's a level of sophistication that's come with investors. And it's going, you just don't have to keep buying cookie cutter resi properties. There are other ways to skin a cat. And that's probably where, you overlay that with the emergence of, say, good quality BAs. You overlay that with, say, the prevalence of social media, podcasts, sharing a bit of the knowledge, because who controlled the knowledge before was a lot of the magazines, right? And they were I love them, but that was advertising driven as opposed to investor information driven.
I mean, commercial is something that's just so interesting. And I watched a podcast recently. It was, have you heard of Will Tong? He's a commercial
down in Melbourne.
He's very cool. But he interviewed like a commercial real estate agent, and they basically said, there's more billionaires than you realize in Australia that have investments in commercial real estate. And when he said that, I was like, what? Like, there's billionaires in Australia that have commercial real estate, and that's how they're making their money in commercial real estate. Like, they're buying positively cash flowing investments and growing their portfolio like that. But I
feel like they get there by stepping stones. So like, people look at them and go, that's it, I've got to go deep and long on commercial. But mate, they've probably taken a part where they've had resis and they've upgraded to maybe a few developments, and they've matured in their journey, as opposed to like they've gone all in on commercial.
Yeah.
On big scale projects or purchases. They've had to kind of work their way up through, and the outcome you see is, yes, a B, but at some point they had an M for millionaires, and at some point they had K for thousands of dollars that they were borrowing, and it's just been a progression in their journey, and probably because I've seen it as well. I feel like they all started somewhere, and they started probably at Resi, and then like Scotty O'Neill's probably a very good example. You see him now like the king of commercial effectively, but he had his roots in residential and quickly outgrew that. Yeah. Cool, mate. Thanks very much. Let's go back to you and Bill, because I know you said your original, like your roots are in being a chef.
Yeah.
So how does a chef make a transition into, say, going hard on property, for example? What was the catalyst there?
Well, I was sort of, in the situation, I was just sort of going around in the circle, like let's call it the rat race. And I was looking at my peers and seeing that, okay, these guys, I was working in a fine dining restaurant. The hours in a fine dining restaurant at the time were like 16 hours a day. My peers, executive chef, head chef, sous chef, they're all, they have kids and everything, and they're, they don't own any property, and they're still in the kitchen working 16 hours a day with us. And their knees are giving out. They're going to the hospital with heart palpitations and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, if I keep going down this path, that's the result I'm going to get. So let's change it. Let's do something different. So that's when I started looking at investing in property. And I was lucky because my parents did invest in property, and I saw that journey for them when I was growing up. So I'm very fortunate in that way.
Yeah, great. So it's interesting. You got parents that are involved in it. So many of our really good investors, you can't be what you can't see, is what I say, especially to my team. So the second you have an example, it's like, oh, okay, they've done it, I can do it. And just imagine if your parents were renting and they'd never owned property. That circuit breaker is so much harder because they don't have the ability to pass on some information. You don't have a blueprint to follow, and you're pretty much just finding your own way, which inadvertently leads to making a lot of mistakes. Doesn't mean you can't achieve it. It just means it becomes a lot harder to get there as well. And I think it comes back to a real mindset to go, they can do it. I can ask them. If my parents haven't done it, I can find a BA that's done it. I can find a broker that's done it. There's a level of resourcefulness now comes into that mindset where you go, there's scarcity or there's an abundance mindset here. That to me, it really will determine the quality of someone's success, in which camp they sit in it as well. And if you're struggling to find someone that's been there, done that, that's why we created the Accelerator community, which is there's a group of people. We had someone come on the other week, no properties, wasn't even sure about using a BA, and within the whole group, everyone just came off mute going, here's my first one. I used the BA, I paid the 20 grand or whatever it was at the cost. And here's how I've grown my portfolio. And it was just story after story. And by the end of it, I think that person was like, okay, I got the message, which was great. But that comes from peers and seeing what people have done in their portfolio as opposed to kind of just trying to go against the tide as opposed to go with it. But no, thanks very much. I appreciate it. Now, how have you gone about sourcing, building out your portfolio? Because obviously you've got to build a team around you on this journey to get to 9. We're talking finance, we're talking accounting, we're talking buyer's agent, for example. How did you go about assembling the team, and was there some brain damage along the way to kind of put this team together?
Yeah, so it's definitely a lot of trial and error. Like I would say the most important person on my team is the mortgage broker, because unless I'm buying property in cash, they're going to be the keys to me moving forward to the next one. And if you're speaking with a mortgage broker that only does owner-occupier homes, they're going to struggle to build you or help you grow an investment portfolio. But another important one is property managers. Property managers for me, my first property manager was the biggest headache, and you don't really know how good your property manager is until you have a bad tenant. And I had both a bad property manager and a bad tenant to start off with. So since then I've sort of figured out what it is that I'm looking for in a property manager, and but basically the more people you speak to, the more knowledge you'll get, and you'll speak to, if you have enough phone conversations with enough brokers, or if you have enough conversations with enough property managers, you'll start learning stuff from them, and you want to be learning stuff from a property manager or a mortgage broker if you're speaking to them, and that will sort of give you an indication of, okay, this is the type of person that I want to work with because they're actually teaching me and giving me knowledge. Yeah.
Well said, mate. Like I'll throw out little anecdotes of kind of where I've had new clients come out to us. We've had, maybe in the last 48 hours, I've spoken to a client, called their broker 3 times, haven't heard back. Vote with your feet at that point. Had one, they got an owner-occupied property, they got 2 investment properties. I said, so I was trying to look through the debt levels. I'm like, how did you finance the 2 investment properties? And he's like, with the deposit-wise, where's the equity loan? He's like, no, I use cash. I said, what are you talking about? You've got a home loan at like $800,000 on a $1.5 million home. Why didn't you tap the equity to go and use this to buy your deposits for your investment properties? I said, no, the broker just said to use cash. I was like, find that broker and shoot them is what I do. I'm not advocating for violence. I'm just saying, metaphorically speaking. But that's some of the rubbish that I hear that's out there. And again, I'm not trying to big up ourselves in terms of we're only human and we're not perfect at our business. But geez, mate, on our watch, there's some strategic advice that you go, if you're just going to a run-of-the-mill broker, unfortunately, that's not strategic, not investment savvy, however you want to label that broker. The quality of your team will determine the quality of results.
100%.
If you're going to an overweight PT, you're not exactly going to be guaranteed the greatest results. You find someone's competed in, if you're training for a triathlon, you find someone's maybe competed there or has got a niche in working with triathletes, then get you the best results, for example. And I think you've probably had that experience yourself. You're going, I could do this myself and probably save X dollars per transaction without using a BA, but I don't think I guarantee you, mate, there's no way you would scale to 9 without a BA in your corner, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I am my own BA, but that's the thing I love. Like it is a lot of work. Like I love doing it though. Like I love everything about property. So like I have had advice from BAs and the reality is you only need like them to tell you a few things for you to actually know what you need to do. Like you don't need 100,000 bits of information. It's just a matter of taking, what they tell you and actually actioning it. Yeah, nice. That's what it takes.
That's where the rubber hits the road, mate. So passive income. So for you, you've stepped out of chefing, gone into creating your own BA, and now you're at a point where, building that out, but passive income being the goal. Like what does that look like for you and Bill? What's the goal here?
So effectively, like we just want to grow enough passive income so first we can retire my wife. She doesn't need to work anymore. And
why is retirement the goal here, mate? I'm just very curious.
Just for my wife, I'd like it if she doesn't have to work when we're having kids.
Okay.
So she can support my kids. Like I don't have to put them in daycare.
Yeah.
I'd prefer just my wife to look after them. And
cool.
For me, I just want to create enough wealth so that I have time to spend on the things that I want to spend on. And I guess at that point, it would be my family. So whatever that means. But it's funny, like I ask myself this over and over again because it's like the further I get, the more I want. So it's like, where do you stop? Where do you stop wanting more? It's like, okay, when I was a chef, it's like, wow, if I could make 60 grand passive income, that would be great. But we're pretty close to there now. And I'm already like, okay, no, let's go for 300 passive income. So it's hard to know when to stop, but I just want to provide a good life for my family. And if I can do that through passive income, that's when I'll stop.
Yeah. Look, mate, I think it's part of the work. Again, I'll bring up one of the episodes I did with my own personal coach, Jody. It's like, hey, when's enough? And I think that's when it comes at a cost personally. So when it takes its toll, whether it's on your relationship, it takes its toll on your family, takes its toll on your relationship, your inter-family relationships or your well-being or your mental health, whatever. If it takes a toll somewhere, then maybe that there's a line that you're crossing and you got to pick up that, you got to have that self-awareness early to go. But mate, if you got the potential and you got the opportunity, mate, keep going.
Yeah.
Why would you stop? Like that's my mind. It's like it's not a label of being greedy. It's going, if you have the potential and then you can inspire more people and more people can go that 300K net passive is achievable, mate, the bar just gets here that 300K is doable, achievable for plenty more people. Yeah, I'd say, look, just keep going bloody hammer and tong, mate, is my advice. Yeah.
Like I think a lot of people don't realize, but it's investing in property is so different from when my parents did it, or buying property is so different from when my parents did it.
And it's different from when I started broking 10 years ago.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. It's like you cannot save yourself to wealth. You can't. And if you're basically, I guess when my parents were buying their property, they would need like a 20% deposit. And that amount is coming down as time goes on, because the gap between the value of the property versus a person's normal income is getting further and further away, right? So you need to use as much leverage as you possibly can. So get in the market as soon as possible. Use that 5% deposit, that 10% deposit, because the properties are for most people, they will be increasing faster than you can even save your money.
That's spot on.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we say. Again, any regular listeners will say, like, the market outpaces your ability to save. So if you can't save that, particularly if you're renting, for example, at that stage in life where it's like, if you can't build up an asset base, the market's you're just going to keep chasing your tail. And if you talk about 20% deposits, you don't even need a 20% deposit. I had that conversation with someone at the cafe on the weekend. I thought I needed a 20% deposit. I'm like, it's 2025. You can get into with a 2% deposit, an investment property maybe with a 10% deposit.
2%, I love it. Oh wow,
mate! I'm telling you, like we've done stuff, and obviously the first home buyer schemes, bits and pieces like that. But there are schemes that will let you get in 2 to 5% deposit. The government is literally saying we'll help you get into the property market. They can't stop the price growth. They can just only give you like a leg up to help you get into the market, right? Stamp duty discounts are constantly just kind of coming out. As every time the state government's just trying to like pull the lever on stamp duty for first home buyers, push up those purchase price brackets as well. I genuinely say, like, if you're trying to get in and you can get your first property, if you're not trying to clip all the tickets or understand what's available to you, mate, you're leaving a lot on the table. Yeah. In terms of, I guess you said I spent a lot personal development, this idea that you then had to like pay for value as opposed to, I don't know, call it stingy, for example.
Yeah.
How have you made that trade-off and that value return equation for yourself, bud?
Oh, I mean, like, there's two ways to get things. There's two ways to get something. You can either spend a lot of time, and that is expensive. That, like, truly, that is expensive, because
it's expensive if you can quantify the value of your time, though.
Yeah, that's
Some
right.
people do not value their time.
Yeah.
I
mean, but yeah, or you could pay someone that knows how to do what you're trying to do, and they'll get you there 10 times quicker, right? It's like, which do you want to do? It really depends. Like, it really depends. It's like, for me, learning about investing in property and all that sort of stuff, it took me a lot of time. Like, I've constantly researching in property, been doing it for 5 years, learning as much about property every single day as I possibly can. And that, it's taken me time, but it's worth it for me. But if you aren't super interested or you aren't super passionate about property, definitely pay someone, because you don't want to not invest in property because you don't understand it and you're not passionate about it, because you're losing a lot of wealth you could be creating. But even if you are passionate about it, like, it is worth paying to put yourself in rooms of people that are like-minded, right? Like-minded to you, so it can really take you to the next level.
I mean, you mentioned, hey, I check it daily. Like, yeah, I'm researching property daily.
Yeah.
It's not one of these where you can get a really quick, the needle can't move that quickly day in, day out, right? So some people come back to me like a month later, hey, where's my borrowing capacity at? Has it moved much? And it's like, mate, it hasn't moved since the last 6 months. And that can feel like the wind is coming out of their sails, for example. How do you still keep up this daily discipline of like, hey, I'm still engaging in property chat, or I'm still engaging in like podcasts and videos, but then temper that energy to go, you still need some patience as well.
Oh, I'm really not patient. I mean, it's like I buy properties on the lower price point, so it's kind of good for me, my personality type, because it means I can do a lot. Like, like I can't, if I can't refinance one property, I'll just go try and refinance the other one. And but yeah, basically, I don't know, like life catches up with you, and I don't know. There's like I feel like I stopped probably investing in late 2023, and then I haven't really done anything from then until now. But
because I mean, you've sold off properties as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the journey, which is someone's going.
Yeah.
The only way to grow is at some point.
Yeah, but
look at your portfolio. What's the decision that you made to sell, buddy?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm like a long-term investor. I want to hold my assets forever, and selling is almost like completely against what I want to do. But you have to look at it logically and weigh it up and say, if I continue with this asset, is it gonna get me the results that I want? Because the reality of it is, I weighed it up. I saw the opportunity to invest in the type of properties that I do now, and I saw the type of properties that I already had in my portfolio, and I thought, okay, if I really just stick with these properties, and it was my ego at that point saying, I never sell. If I stuck with those properties in my portfolio, I wouldn't be able to grow the portfolio anymore because the cash flow would be negative, and my portfolio would only be worth 1.5 mil, but it's worth 3.5 now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that was sort of the decision to sell there.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. That's a maturity. Something you spoke about is the Australian investor community. So I guess I speak about our accelerator community, for example. You've mentioned something there. What's that? How did you come across it? Tell us more.
Yeah. I mean, it's strange. Like, I literally probably 2 months ago, I've only just realized how big the investment community is in Australia. Like, I don't know how I didn't come across it. But when I started, I guess, watching you, like, I've learned most of what I've learned through property from YouTube. And when I started watching YouTube, I would search property stuff and it would just take me straight to like an American channel, like Bigger Pockets or Ken McElroy or Robert Kiyosaki or whatever. So I didn't even realize the Australian property market or the Australian property community existed. But it's now that I've sort of got involved in the community more, it's I don't know, it feels a whole lot less lonely, It's like I can come into contact with people like you. There's other people that are on the same journey as me. So it's pretty awesome. There's a big community out there and a lot of support.
Mate, well said. There's something to be said about the power of community. I say this pretty consistently. Something like an Australian property investor community champions people's successes. Whereas if you were to walk out onto the street, and we probably surveyed, 15 people down at Martin Place, about 9 properties. What's your opinion? Like, that's greedy. How dare they? That's coming. That's what's wrong with Australia today, for example, right? There'd be a lot of that sentiment. Whereas when you can uphold the fact that someone's taken action on low income, with all due respect, the low income, to build out a 9-property portfolio where your LVR, I should do this number in my head.
Current LVRs?
Yeah, 2.2 over 3.5. 60% LVR. Because you could imagine the comments. He doesn't own that. The bank owns that. Look at all the debt. And you're going, well, hang on. I'm creating my own destiny. I'm going to become a self-funded retiree. I'm not relying on the government for opening doors around pensions or aged or support. Why isn't that message championed? Look at what this person does, greedy. And that's where I really take offense to that, that disparity around mindset. That's why I applaud you. But I say that's if you need to be around community where you're not vilified for your level of success, get around other investors. They want to see you do well. They want to share their knowledge. They'll send you this solicitor's details or this buyer's agent or this accountant. They're so willing to see each other win this game of investing because your success isn't coming at the detriment of my success. You buy property, you do well. I'll buy property. We combine, do well. And I think that's the secret sauce to investing, that once you can unlock that as a community and get around people like that, I find people's journeys just go to a whole new level, mate.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited for like my future in investing in property. I think, you know, I can probably 2x where I'm at now.
Oh, at least. You mentioned something here around like a personal decision around like, say, quit drinking. Obviously, it's got nothing to do with property, but it's got a lot to do with mindset.
It definitely, like quitting drinking, smoking, whatever it is, everyone knows it's bad for you, right? But it's like, it's so hard to, I don't know, like lack of a better word, quantify the actual effects it's having on you. But as soon as I stopped drinking, and I was like, there's nothing wrong. Like, there's nothing wrong with drinking. I just have a few beers every afternoon, all good. But as soon as I stopped drinking, that's when I started investing in property. I haven't drank since, and now I have 9. So I don't know if that has an effect. It obviously does, right? But it's all the little things. It's like, you know, waking up early, the effect that alcohol has on you. If you want to be successful, just stop drinking. Like if you think it's not having a negative effect on you, it is. And
I love it.
You don't realize it until you stop.
I love it. Look, it may not fit in the realm of, hey, here's what property investors do, but here's what successful people do in life in general, which is they do what uncommon people are willing to do. So they're investing in themselves, the well-being side of it, for example, the clarity of mind that comes with it. I'd say quit drinking. I'd say get better sleep, for example. I'd say invest in your education and knowledge. I'd say pay for good advice. You could just start stacking all the things that really successful people do, and you can just trace it all back to a lot of self-discipline there, for example, as well, going, my inner voice is saying you're better than this. You're capable of more. And if you don't do it, the inner voice is just going, that you're not good enough. And it just could lead down to this like loop and spiral for you going, you have this potential, but you're not actually achieving your full potential, mate. So I kind of see, I see the perspective and angle on it. I applaud you. Nothing good happens after quite a few drinks, right? So
yeah, it really doesn't.
Yeah, nice. Something that you also mentioned here is like getting maximum debt. And that's again, there's got to be a sleep at night factor for yourself and Bill where you go, right, where do we draw the line around, getting a good night's sleep with a level of debt? Do you see it as going, if the banks are willing to lend me this money, I'm going to take it? Or what's your
I mean, not really.
appetite?
Like if I will like almost always get the maximum amount of debt I can, like in equity, and it will sit in my offset account, but it's like whether I use it or not will depend on whether I'm making a good investment decision.
Mm-hmm.
So like you want to get it when you can, but whether you use it to invest is an investment decision. So it's like, I'm buying positively cash flowing properties. So every time I get more debt, the cash flow is covering it. So it's not very stressful for me at all. Like I could infinitely increase my debt levels because the cash flow is covering the entire debt, and I won't buy a property unless the cash flow is covering the debt. I mean, the entire acquisition cost is covered, like the stamp duty, the legal fees, everything is covered by the rental income. The rental income's covering the mortgage. The rental income's covering the running costs. It's not very stressful to own a property portfolio like that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Nice. I like the approach. To go back to people listening, going, what do you mean by like getting the maximum debt? Where you're talking about, I've got properties, I'm going to release the equity against that property, but I'm just having it sitting there. So it's interest only with an offset account.
Yeah.
So I think that's a concept for people going, but I don't want to have access to it. Like I just don't want to I don't need it, therefore I'm not going to have it, versus you're going, I'll have it there even when I need it. Yeah.
Yeah.
How come you've made that decision? Because some people can't get their head around having an equity loan in their internet banking that they're just like, you're not even paying interest on it. Like I can't say it without sounding like I've got commission breath about me. In fact, it's the exact opposite. I don't get paid on it because no one uses it. Therefore, the bank says, well, if they're not using the money, we're not going to pay you for that equity loan. So I've got no kind of horse in that race. But
the more like if you have the equity in your account in your hands, like you're effectively giving yourself more options, right? So, I only like using property portfolio money to reinvest in a property portfolio, to grow the property portfolio. And the faster you grow your property portfolio will sort of, the more leverage you're able to use on your property portfolio growth, the faster you'll be able to grow your property portfolio. So if you're just, buying a property with a 20% deposit, $1 million property, and then it grows to say $2 million in 10 years, and you didn't use any equity in that point, but you've got $1 million of equity now there, you've just wasted an entire 10 years of opportunities where you could have increased your asset base to maybe 2 times, 3 times of what it would be otherwise.
Yeah, cool. Thanks very much. In terms of helping others, and like you said, hey, look, if I can do it, you can do it. And we had a quick chat before we came in around helping your sister get in. Family is often the hardest to convince sometimes to listen to you. How did you take your sister on that journey, and what did that look like for you?
Yeah, it was very interesting actually, because I was like, oh, I have this great idea. Like, I'm gonna, I've had such a successful journey investing in property, and if I was to do it again, knowing what I know now, I could do it much quicker. And I said, okay, like let's help my sister invest in property. And I said, hey, I'll give you the deposit. Let's buy your property. And she was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I was like, what do you mean you don't want to do that? I'm going to give you the deposit. Like it's $52,000. I'll give it to you, and we'll just buy your property. And she's like, no. And I'm like, what's going on? But yeah, like I had to get my mom sort of saw what I was doing, and we both sort of convinced her. And I guess the reason that I did it was because I wanted to put my money where my mouth was. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to help as many people invest in property as possible. It's not about the money for me. And if I couldn't help my sister, then why even bother at all?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but
so what was the blockage there for your sister? Was she like, no, I don't? Did she think she couldn't do it? Was that she didn't want the help, or what, was there something else there?
It was more like the risks. She was just very scared about all the risks involved. Like, what if this went wrong? What if that went wrong? I don't want debt and all this sort of stuff. But I guess once I sort of identified with her, okay, like, is there a goal? Like, is there something that you want in life? Do you want to retire, or just like you want to buy a home, or like, what is it? And she's like, oh yeah, I want to buy a home. I'm like, okay, well, like how are we going to, what does it look like, and how are we going to get there? And once I identified like a dream, then she's like, okay, like, let's do this, like, let's get there. So, but yeah, the risk was a big thing for her. But then once you have, I think once you have something that you're going for, it makes it a lot easier.
Can you meet someone hard? Like, now that you've got a portfolio of say 9,
yeah,
it sounds like you do have empathy, but like, do you look at someone like that and go, I can help you? Or do you just go, look, mate, this can go wrong, and this can be like, I personally probably, I can't help, because I'm like, so what's the problem? I can't understand that blockage that they've got. It sounds like you've probably got far more empathy in that sense.
Yeah, I definitely do. But like, I can't help someone that doesn't want to do it at all.
Mate, correct.
Like this, I was speaking.
I can't convince you to buy it. You have to, like, is it almost you have to want it for yourself? But it sounds like you did a good amount of convincing there. Like,
yeah.
How did you do that? Well, I want to learn, because people come to me, I'm like,
it's like, all these people on social media, they're like, it's impossible, it can't be done, blah, 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 blah.
It absolutely can be done.
Like, they're in the scarcity mindset, and I just want to get them out of that, because, for me, investing in property has changed my life. Quite literally, in 3.5 years, I've made more in property than I have literally made in my entire career.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, right? So it's changed my life, but it's almost like it's a billboard of
how why to invest in property, but people will still drive past the billboard going, no, you convinced me that this is the right thing to do. It's like, mate, if I have to convince you, then it's not for you. You've got to want it for yourself. Like, at what point does that penny drop for someone where they go, I want it now bad enough? Like, how like, versus here's a helping hand that I can give you based on my professional and personal experience that you've had, to now open the door for someone. I guess that's, I'm really trying to unpack that for what you've done to break through that barrier that you did with your sister.
Yeah, I just honestly believe that in terms of creating wealth, like, investing in property is one of the best things most people will do. So I will just keep working with someone to get that through to them. Like, I don't like, I believe it's in their best interest. So I want to make that happen, like whether they know it or not. Like to be completely honest, my wife has absolutely no interest in investing in property whatsoever.
Yeah, right.
But we buy properties in our own personal name, and we buy them separately. And I got advised to do that by a buyer's agent, and it was, to create more options for us, right? And that means for like right now at this point in our portfolio, we're still growing, we're still building our portfolio. I've started a business, so I can't make any moves. But if we did that together, if we were building our property portfolio together in terms of borrowing together, we would be stuck right now.
So if you're saying, hey, look, I've just started my business, are you saying that you can't borrow because your ABN's not registered for long enough, or?
Yeah, like under 6 months.
Under 6 months.
Yeah.
Do you know that there's a major bank that will lend to you?
Yeah, let's talk after.
This is me not like, I'm not plugging for business. I'm just saying that I hear that all the time.
Oh, this is so good.
I say that all the time. Like, man, I've just registered the business like literally, 6-8 months ago. I was like, yeah, and there's a major bank that will literally open the doors for you, just depending on what income you're showing. They'll work off like ATO portals and BASs, and we're talking about like a major bank. One of the big four. So
pretty exciting stuff.
Mate, this is what I mean.
There's always options. There's always something to do.
Correct.
And you need to speak to the right person.
Correct. There's always options. That's why I say if there's a will, there's a way. The amount of time people get told no by a broker.
Yeah.
They get say from a buyer's agent, no, we're not buying at this 300K price point. No, we only buy houses. We don't buy apartments. Like, no, if you want it, you have to go after it.
Yeah. Isn't it funny though? Like, I spoke to a broker and he was like, mate, starting a new business, 2 years. Like 2 years, you need to wait 2 years. So like, this is what
I mean.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll find that broker. I'm like, you're wrong. I'm telling you, you're wrong.
You need to speak to the right people. You just keep speaking.
Everyone knows me. This vein starts to pop out, and it gets the blood going. That's the crap that gets peddled. Like I got to be brutally honest with you, man. Like you wait for 2 years, and you sat out the market for 2 years when rates are coming down, and we're in the next boom phase of this economy, and like not maybe economy but property cycle, and you're going to miss out on that. That could cost you hundreds of thousands of that compound. More hundreds of thousands of dollars compounding over time. Mate, I know because I've sat out of the market, and it's like I could not save myself. Like we said before, I couldn't save myself back into the market. You got to get in, and if you miss that window, if you miss that cycle, psychologically it puts you on the back foot to go. It's defeated me. The market's won, and like market won me 0. And you're looking at that just going, I don't think I can get back in. So you're saying 300K properties. I've not met someone that's buying property circa 300 for a while, 100%. Even DIY investors, like they're not. I haven't seen that price point for some time. So you must be doing your due diligence. You're finding something that's not seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's like when you say missing out on the market. Like when I invested, made most of my wealth, right? I invested in the Perth market. I bought 6 properties in the Perth market in a short period of time. And to be honest, I could have gone harder, but in my mind, I was like, that's enough. Like I need to calm down. Like that's, but I said, once I saw what happened to the market there, I said to myself, I will never let that happen to me again. Like I'll never see an opportunity like that again and let it pass without going 100% as hard as I can.
Correct. And you're still young. How old are you, don't mind me asking?
32.
32.
Yeah.
Mate, you're young. 32. Here's also what happens, Thomas, which is I've got so many friends and we've all been to uni and you get this incredible degree, you walk out with a HECS debt, for example. And so a lot of our eggs go into like this basket of career and it gets incredible. Income start to go up, for example. Lifestyle creep then comes into play, for example. And they're not investing in property. Whereas if property compounded alongside your career, you'd come out with an incredible wealth position that makes it so hard for others to catch up.
Yeah.
Versus if you're all in on like career, and I see income earners at circa 350 a plus, that don't have property to their name, I'm like, you only have one income source. That's you. And I get it. You are your greatest asset, but you need another stream of revenue to come in. Yeah.
Like if, I don't know, I would love to help 18-year-old people just buy property. And it's like the type of property I buy, right? It's like cash flow positive. So as I said at the start, I think, you're buying a cash flow positive property. So it basically looks after itself. You don't need to put money towards it. I could just disappear for 10 years and my property portfolio would just continue on growing in capital growth. The passive income stream would increase as well. It's like if you were an 18-year-old and you bought one property and then you got to the age where I started investing in property, 27, your property would probably be doubled.
Okay.
And you didn't have to do anything except for buy it. And you just went on your life. And then when you got to that age, you just started to
sell it. You could spend 2-3 months in Europe, for example. It's probably like you can still at 32, you could still buy a nice car. You've just given up maybe some of the luxuries for a 10-year period. That's what we say, mate. Just stay on track. Do the consistent, like be consistent for a long period of time. Others will fall off. That's what happens. I talk about the podcast. I think I've said it, like 80-90% of podcasts don't get past 20 episodes. You've just got to push through and automatically you get yourself into that top echelon.
Yeah.
Same thing that happens in broking, same thing that happens in investing, for example. You just got to hang in there long enough that you put yourself in the top 1% of property investors because the others have just fallen off. It got too hard. They had a bad tenant. They had a bad experience. And it's like they've cashed in their chips, whereas you got to be able to push through like what you've done.
Yeah, it's really funny. Like when I think about doing another deal, investing in another property, at the time it just feels like so much work. It's like, oh no, I have to sign the contract. I have to like organize a building and pest inspection. I have to organize a property manager. But the reality is, it might take you like 10 hours and you got a full-time job. So it's going to be a little bit extra work and it's going to be hard to push through and you won't want to do it. But the reality is you spending that 10 hours is probably going to make you $100,000 over a period of time, right? Yeah. But you prefer to spend 40 hours a week every week in your job doing that, and you don't have enough time to sign the contract to buy the property. It's too hard.
Oh man. Yeah. So when I do my whip call, my team every morning at 10, I'm like, why haven't these clients signed the loan docs or loans formally approved loan doc? Yeah, mate, they're too busy. I was like, you're too busy to sign your loan documents so the bank is like digitally docu-sign to you. What's going on here? So yeah, to me, if you're complaining about that, you're barking up the wrong tree. If you're complaining about meeting a lawyer to get independent legal advice, if you're complaining about your accountant to set up a new trust, for example, you're missing the point. You are genuinely missing the point when it comes to investing in property. Like you said, if you're not willing to spend a few hours around a property transaction, which could genuinely yield you a strong return, cash flow, plus give you insane capital growth if you bought well, I genuinely say like you've got to channel that energy and that focus to somewhere like to get in a more positive manner.
Yeah, I think as soon as I think about like how much money this is going to make me investing in like doing this deal, then it's like I'll sign it now. Let's go. But I mean, speed is for me, especially like being on a low income and having such a small amount of capital as well. Like speed is so important for my growth in my portfolio. Like if you got the 30-day settlement, and if you're taking 2 weeks to make a decision on buying a property as well, like you're losing a lot of time. Like there is things that take the time regardless, and there's things that you can compress the time. It's like you compressing the time, being able to execute. Like when I'm buying my properties, I'm just executing boom, 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 boom straight away. Like that makes me, so going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if I didn't execute and make those decisions quickly, I would have missed the market.
Totally.
I bought in Perth, I would have got maybe 3 properties if I wanted to really take my time, and then the market would be gone and it's not really a good investment anymore.
Great. Mate, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I love having when people come on to share their own personal experience. No sales agenda, There's no ulterior motives. It's pretty much, hey, I've done it. You can do it. I come back to it. You can't be what you can't see. If I can show you, you can hear people that have done it before. And I think you'll say it with a level of like maybe humility. If I can do it, you can do it. Yeah. There's nothing that set you apart from someone else. Right?
Yeah. Like I'm dyslexic. So it's like I didn't go to university.
Yeah.
And didn't start investing until I was 27. So
okay, not a major income here, not a accountant or someone that gets a LMI waiver, no banker mum and dad. You do this with starting out $45,000. So yeah, if you're hearing this, I'm genuinely saying to you, if Thomas and Bill can do it, can you do it? I generally say, yep, let's find a way to make it work for you. So, mate, buddy, I want to say thanks very much for coming in. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll include some of the details if people want to check you out, get in touch, hear more about what you've done, mate. Fantastic, and I'm excited to see where the journey takes you as well, mate.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Like I said, hey, if it's the alignment with the significant other that you're really trying to get on the same financial page with, maybe this is an episode you could listen to. Maybe come together over a cup of coffee, not a wine perhaps, we'll skip the alcohol, but maybe we just grab a coffee or a tea and just go, hey, look, what did you get out of this episode? And where are you coming from in the world? Where am I coming and how do we meet each other that we can get that level of alignment? Because I really feel like once you have that, things just click into place. We're not going against the tide with each other. We're going with the tide together. And I think that makes the journey so much more enjoyable, but secondly, it makes it much more profitable as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you are looking to be part of the investor community, our accelerator group, drop us a line, DM us Accelerator. We'll include details. We're kicking that off back up in running in August. That's a wrap for another episode of the Australian Property Investment Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.